Hello, this is John Paval with Access Arts Live. I promised you that I might do a follow-up to the concert on Thursday night when it was live streamed by the Royal Stockholm Philharmonic. And due to some health issues and the fact that it was Thanksgiving and many other things going on, I didn't get to it. But this afternoon here in Stockholm, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Swedish time, they reprised the same concert. So I thought I'd give you some of my thoughts and impressions afterwards from here in the concert hall. They started off with this piano concerto by Adolf Wicklow, which I had never heard before. And, well, I don't know if many people have. There was a time when apparently it was played a lot in Europe. He wrote two concertos and about 60 or 70 other pieces. But this was in the early 20th century. He was friends with Steinhammer, who is a much more noted composer in my experience here in Sweden, especially for Steinhammer's art songs. Part of what they call the Nationalromantiker, National Romantics. But it was a lovely piece, but it gave the impression this was his first piano concerto, and it kind of sounds like I think he wrote it while he was living in Paris, very much and was very much under the influence of Steinhammer, who was a friend of his, who had just done his second piano concerto, and Debussy. He had been, before composing this piece, he'd been to see Debussy's new opera at the time, Pelléas et Mélisande. And they say the piece was very much influenced by it. When I say it sounds like a first concerto, the first movement starts out with the piano all alone for a good long piece. So that was lovely. It's a piano concerto. And then he turns it around at the beginning of the second movement with the orchestra starting and playing a good long piece. And it's kind of like you're saying, well, in his mind, not because it organically grew out of the music, but because in his mind he thought it was an interesting idea. And it's not a bad idea, but I think what you find in more mature composers is that there's an organicness to the way the music evolves, and it may take them a long time to find it. Brahms was known for taking 2 decades to complete some of his major works because it just took him that long to get it. And I very much doubt that this took a couple of decades to compose at all. So it was kind of put together in terms of what seemed like a good idea. Now I have lost my notes. I don't know where I put them. Anyway, so, and then in the end, like in the first movement, there were at least 3 moments where there was this great crescendo and sort of a fanfare, a climactic moment. And I thought, well, that was maybe two moments too many of that kind of thing to have it work. And then by the time you got to the middle of the second movement, there were 3 or 4 such climaxes, and I kept thinking, well, where is he going with this? Anyway, so that was the first piece, but the audience loved it, and they absolutely adored the pianist Magnus Svensson. He was a real crowd favorite, even though most of his career he's really been known as an accompanist, which I salute him for doing, because accompanists are terrific people. Then after the intermission, they came back and did a new piece, a contemporary composition by Müller, and that was, well, these kind of short, very contemporary pieces very often sound like space music, and this one did. And so I mean, I have nothing against it, and it was well constructed, and the audience liked it, and the composer, the young Jakob, came up on stage and took his applause and bowed a lot, and he had very fluffy hair. It was bouncing around as he bowed. And then they finished up with a very fine rendition of Sibelius's Fifth Symphony, and that was really well done, and the audience was appropriately appreciative of it. The conductor is a young Estonian guy. Um, let me verify that I have his name because I don't know him personally. I should at least give him his name. His name is Avis Graters. And there was one point where he did something that I thought was very good, especially for a young composer, during the first piano concerto. And what it was is that he did nothing. There was a passage in the beginning passage of the second movement where the orchestra is playing this lovely melody. He just stood there and let them play. He didn't feel he had to do anything to them or particularly pull anything out of them in that moment. And I remember reading recently a more mature, an older composer talking about that, how what younger composers have to learn to do is you don't always have to be doing something. But there can be times when you let the orchestra play. What you're supposed to do as a composer is intervene in those moments when you have something to add to it, when something is needed from you. So that was interesting. Anyway, that was today's concert here at the concert hall. These are the kind of things that I would have been saying on Thursday night if I'd been here while it was being live streamed. But you get them from me now, and you're welcome to. I invite you to share your own comments if you were here either today or if you watched the live stream, whether you agree with me or disagree with me. I'm not the world's most expert musicologist. I'm just a guy who knows something about music from, over time, having loved classical music. I wish you a very pleasant rest of the day. Don't forget, a little later today, there is a highly interesting live stream coming out of Moscow from the Roman Catholic Cathedral in Moscow. It is a mass that was written by a Polish composer named Markowski, which he composed. It was commissioned by the builders of the Warsaw subway, the Warsaw metro, you can call it, and it then became a favorite piece of music of the workers in the Moscow metro, and the Moscow Metro Workers Choir, along with three other enormous choirs, are being combined to sing this mass. It's a Latin mass, as you would expect a very Catholic Polish composer possibly to come up with. And it also has a full-scale orchestra, organ, and several opera soloists in it. We've put out a separate clip about that, which you can find on our pages, on Facebook, on YouTube, on X, on TikTok, on Instagram, and Threads, to tell you a little bit more about that. And that's, I think, is going to be live streamed on YouTube. And if it is, look for Access Arts Live in the comments section and say hello. We'd love to chat with you there.